Hello, everybody. It's New Year's Eve, and I am so excited to be here with you today. Now, remember, if you're joining me live, make sure to authorize StreamYard so that I could actually see your name if you want to comment or post. I will be doing my best to sort of monitor those as they come in. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me today. And that way I can talk to you and share some information about my new virtual class series called Teach Me ADHD. I'm really excited about this, and I wanted to just let folks know that who I am. So that's where I'm going to start. So I'm Dr. Narissa Bauer. I'm a behavioral pediatrician. And what the heck does that mean? Right. So I'm a general pediatrician by training, and I actually did my medical school in Nevada, where my family, my parents, and my one sister lives right now. And then I did my residency training in San Diego, California, and not far from where my other sister lives, and she lives in LA. And then after that, I went to residency training. So that's on the job hospital training in Children's Hospital at San Diego. Did 3 years there learning how to distinguish normal from sick and also what it takes to be a pediatrician. And then I got to specialize in development and behavior with studying with one of the most influential people in my career, Dr. Marty Stein. So from him, I just loved learning how to work closely with families, learn to listen to what they have to say, and really focus in on development and behavior issues. After that, during that time, actually, I met my now husband, who is also a physician, and we got married at the end of the 4 years in San Diego at beautiful Balboa Park. And then I just decided I wanted to go to Seattle and start my Master's of Public Health training. So we lived in Seattle for a couple of years, and while there, I started a foster care clinic, saw a lot of kids with behavioral and developmental issues, and then realized that we needed to do much more for families because it's hard being a parent, whether it be biological or foster, and a lot of things come up. So at the time, I didn't have kids of my own, and I thought, wow, well, how can I really help these kids? Because obviously, as a doctor, I can prescribe medication. I don't really think that's the first choice in a lot of cases. And it's really important to be able to equip parents with the tools that they need to be able to work with their child. No matter what. So I also then came to know Dr. Carolyn Webster Stratton, another influential person in my life, who taught me about child behavior management skills. So with that knowledge, I realized, wow, nobody is teaching future pediatricians this type of, knowledge in a systematic way. Usually when you go into medicine, you learn things by seeing one, doing one, and teaching one. So I seized upon this, and Dr. Webster Stratton asked me if I wanted to write a paper about prevention of behavioral issues in primary care. And then when I accepted my first faculty position in Indiana, I actually was tasked to head up the developmental behavioral rotation. So I got to train future pediatricians in this work. So that's who I am. A behavioral pediatrician is someone who focuses specifically on behavior issues. My area of expertise is ADHD, anxiety, depression, parenting issues, school problems, and I love it. I just love it. I love sort of just getting to know families. I get to hear the sort of the challenges and try to figure out how to best help them. And so with that, I'm going to switch over to why Teach Me ADHD. So while I was at Indiana University, when you're seeing a lot of different patients teaching at residents about this type of thing, one of my colleagues approached me and said, we need to do something better by these families. There's a lot of kids who have ADHD. It's one of the most common behavioral issues that we see in pediatrics. And outpatient pediatrics is hard. You know, you have 15, 20 minutes, if you're lucky, 30 minutes to see patients. And, you know, the identification and treatment of ADHD and behavioral issues in general is not a quick thing. You need to understand context. And that's why the whole detective theme sort of bore out, because I think as a doctor, while I have a stethoscope in the field that I work in right now, I don't use it as much. I actually have to use my listening ears and listen for a lot of clues. And so that sort of became the theme of Teach Me ADHD, is that I want kids and families to understand what's going on and to look for clues into what's happening in their lives and understand how ADHD impacts them. And so together we embark on this journey. So Teach Me ADHD actually melds my love of teaching parents about how to better take care of their children in positive, interactive, and nurturing ways. Not that, you know, it's just hard sometimes to know exactly how to approach a situation, and you could read books and it seems so easy, but life happens, right? So it melds that need um, to be able to um, sort of support families in that way, but then also onboard kids as they become uh, old enough to understand what ADHD is. Because, you know, if they have to take part in treatment, which they have to, whether that be medicine, therapy, um, and working with people outside of school and inside of school, they oftentimes might drag their heels, might not understand why. They might question, like, why am I so different? And I really feel it's important to empower kids with that knowledge of what's going on, because if they don't, it can be really, really scary. And so my philosophy has always been in private practice as well as in these classes is I think it's so important that knowledge be given and skills. Knowledge is power, and I don't want kids to feel helpless. I want them to be active participants. And so, Teach Me ADHD is really meant for kids and parents to take together so that they learn together what ADHD is in a child friendly way, and can work together implementing those positive parenting strategies, and then at the end of it come out with an ADHD care plan that they can then talk with their child's pediatrician. So that's a little bit about why I developed Teach Me ADHD. And I'm going to kind of monitor here for comments. Oh, thank you so much, Caitlin. So I definitely appreciate the support. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, I think my job as a pediatrician is definitely one of the most rewarding things, other than being a parent. It just affords me that intimate ability to be a part of somebody's family and hear about those details. And I get that. I mean, it's not easy to open up to anybody quickly, but because I'm a physician, I know and hold that very sacred, because you have to come in wanting to just finally talk about these things that might be worrying you, um, and being as honest as you can, right? Because parenting is such a personalized way of handling your interactions with your child, your most precious gift, and you don't want to mess up, right? I hear that a lot. And I'm here to tell you there's no right or wrong. It's just a matter of equipping families with the appropriate tools. And not all tools will work at the same time. And under all circumstances, you can't apply. It's not a one size fits all. So I like to think of myself as someone who can help sort of brainstorm with families what to try next, and to keep going on that journey with them. So, okay. So, without further ado, I do want to share with you that this, COVID has been a really hard time for a lot of us families, just because we can't physically be together. And, we've been in this since March. And so since then, I've transitioned my part-time private practice into telehealth. This is where I see patients. And I've been very fortunate to be able to continue to do that. I think it's just, for me personally, I think the less we can impose on people to be out and about while we're trying to social distance kind of is doing our part to keep numbers down. So it also afforded us a lot of extra time, right, to be together. And I also started seeing a lot of issues with behavior. And it also makes it harder too to sort of get kids to appropriate treatments. And so Teach Me ADHD is meant to be convenient for families. It's a virtual 8-week course that parents and kids take together. It's sort of that bridge between parenting support, which usually is separate, and then behavioral therapy, which is separate as well. So multiple appointments you have to juggle, plus the seeing your pediatrician, as well as, if you see someone like me or a psychiatrist for medication, it's just a lot. And so this class really is ideal for kids newly diagnosed with ADHD, families who are struggling to navigate the road ahead and wanting a solid start together, kids who have questions about ADHD or need to understand what it is to get treatment buy-in, right? And then families who want an improved understanding of ADHD, each other, and just learn alongside other families. So I am going to show you now the agenda. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, please, I will, after I go through this quick thing, I will open it up to questions, okay? All right, so it's an 8-week class, and each session is 60 minutes. I also build in one brain break in there too, because I know how important it is to get moving, especially if you choose my Tuesday at 6 p.m. Time slot. When I did this with the pilot for the first go around, starting in October through just this month, I was a little bit worried about doing it at that time, given it's dinner time. It's usually if kids were on medication, medicine is off. I get it. I was worried too. I bring a lot of enthusiasm to the class, and parents sit next to their child because they're learning together. And I hope that the way that I structure the class is really fun. And so I'll show you some testimonials too, but it's very visual. We have a lot of fun together, and a community starts forming. So the first week it's called Welcome to the All Deeds Help Detective Agency. Why are we here? And getting to know our new detectives. So yes, the detective theme, I carry that all the way through. You get supply boxes mailed to you, or you could do a porch pickup if you're local, and kids get a lot of fun different things to prepare. I do package the box with individually wrapped supplies for each week with instructions to families. I know you might be excited, but to start here with this bag, and then not to open the bag for the week until either right before class or that day of, because I really, really want kids to get really excited and not know what's in there and be like, ooh, what are we going to do today? And then secondly, you don't lose anything before you need it. So that's the whole goal. Is I put together supply boxes in my basement, and depending on how often I do this, I will have to figure out a different way to put these together. But right now, it's just me and my daughter typically putting these together for you. So the first week is just to get people used to talking to each other and in that format, because a lot of times kids have never ever talked to other kids with ADHD. It's not a easy thing to just kind of go up to someone and say, hey, I have ADHD. How about you? So many of the kids and families this last go around were very grateful because it's not an easy thing to bring up, but kids feel comforted by the knowledge that there are other kids like them. And this is oftentimes the first time that they're able to sort of see on screen other kids just like them. So, all right, week 2, everyone needs to eat plus Z's. So we talk a lot about different things that kids need to do for their healthy brains. And I'm going to bring out my model here. Yep. So we learn about ADHD being a brain-based condition, and then we talk about the things in week 2, what we need to do to make sure we stay healthy. So healthy eating habits, healthy sleep habits. We talk a little bit about screen time in this week, but then we focus again later on that. But during the whole time, we talk about these different topics. There is a structure to each session. So there are daily deeds that kids learn for the week and then are encouraged to practice with their senior detective, so it becomes a habit. And then every week you're tasked with a family mission that's supposed to be fun, and you send in evidence to headquarters to show that you've been working on it. All right. Week 3 is one of my favorite ones because this is a huge thing for kids with ADHD, as well as with anybody, right? I mean, this year has been a drag and very stressful. So my husband helped me name this one, Emotions Without Commotion. So this is where we learn different strategies on how to handle those big negative emotions in more appropriate ways. And we actually practice some of them in session. The next week, we talk about school plans and move goals. So yes, we know so much more about ADHD. It's not just a behavioral disorder. There is executive functioning issues. And there are, depending on who you're reading, there's 11 to 13 of those different things, but basically things like organization, planning, task initiation, emotion regulation. Those are some key issues and challenges that children or individuals with ADHD face. And so in week 4, we talk about 4 of them in particular, and we learn and implement those skills together as a group and then practice. So, and because nowadays things are remote, this class is remote, and you might be going to school remote, we're in front of screens for a longer period of time. So it's even much more important to encourage kids to get up and move. And so again, we talk about why that's important. Week 5, this is also a fun one. So we talk about relationships and how ADHD can affect parent relationships with kids, sibling relationships, and then friendships. I'm still tweaking this one a little bit more based on original feedback, but I think that this is a important set of skills that kids have. And so I have come up with different ways to make this fun, like with role playing, and then I even developed a game that I was like, I wonder if this would be kind of fun to do. And so what I love about this is that I've been able to sort of take my creative hat and put together some fun activities and things for families. And the feedback so far has been great. They love the game, and it was fun to see evidence of them playing this game. So if you join me for this class, I still need a good name for this game, but you gotta take the class to play it. All right. So then week 6, more than halfway through the course is when we finally talk about medication. It's called Eat Me or Drink Me If You Please. And I think it's really important, even if the child is not on medication or if the family has tried medication in the past and has decided medicine at that point in time was not important. Obviously, as the kid grows and matures, they need to understand kind of all the options available. And so again, this is not like me prescribing anything. This is just talking to kids about medication, how they feel about it, exploring their what they've heard, if they are on medicine, what it's like, so that way other kids can hear about that experience. Week 7, I am all about promoting strengths, and these kids oftentimes only hear negatives. And we deal with our own sort of negative thoughts. And so week 7 is all about digging deep and learning how to boost our self-esteem, how to think positive, and shoo away those ants that kind of creep into our minds when we're kind of struggling with certain things. So I love this week because I think it's really important. And then lastly, at the end, detectives get to put together their ADHD care plan. And this is something that I think is a important thing And it's a piece of paper that families work through and realize, wow, this whole time we've been learning about these different pieces of what makes an ADHD care plan. And then hopefully they feel empowered. And I encourage families to take that information and show it off to their pediatrician, because I want them to come back as active, like, yes, I am here, fully engaged. I know what I need now, and willing partners with the pediatrician, because, it's important. And then we do a little celebration too. So I am going to show you that I have 2 different class series to choose from currently. So right now, Sundays at 3 to 4 p.m. starting January 24th, 8 consecutive weeks, or Tuesdays at 6 to 7 p.m. starting February 2nd. Now, in my pilot group, I had 7 families, which meant parent-child pairs. That was pretty good. I really like that number. I usually think 4 is the minimum, but 10, I think, in this virtual format is probably the max. So I am going to cap enrollment for each of these series to 10 parent-child pairs. If there is interest and you cannot make either of those work, please do not hesitate to reach out to me directly, because then I can, depending on interest, add extra days and times. So I am willing to do that because I think it's really, really important information to get out and share. Let me go ahead and hide this. Thank you for bearing with me. So let me look here and see if we have any more comments. Okay. Oh, now my daughter and I were in the pilot Teach Me ADHD class. It was certainly worth your time. We loved it. It's really engaging, and Dr. Bauer truly has a passion for helping kids and their families. Thank you so much. I wish I knew who it was, because it just says Facebook user. I have a guess, but if you are on and you see this right now live, feel free to put in a comment so that I can thank you personally. I just have so much fun doing these classes. It just is what brings me joy. It sort of rekindles that love that I have. Oh, yay! Thanks, Lori. Thank you, Kate. It just rekindles my joy for doing this group work, and I love it. So, okay, let's see. I have some other things. Now, if you have any questions, please start putting them in the comments. I want to make sure to answer any more questions that you have. But while I'm waiting for comments to come in or questions, I will throw this up here. So for my future junior detectives, you will, in your supply box, get this mission map. It's kind of busy, but I love looking at it because it shows you kind of what we're going to be doing for the entire 8 weeks. And so every week, like I said, has a daily deed that you're going to learn about in class and then start working on for the week. And again, a deed is something you do intentionally, so it becomes a habit. And then family missions are something that you and your senior detective do. And then show evidence to headquarters. So there you go. And I'm going to show this fun little mashup video. So if it just is kind of chronicling my journey from when I first decided to do this back in October, and I was like, well, I wonder what would happen if I just asked for volunteers, and wasn't sure if anybody would actually do it. And then I was so grateful that quickly 4 families decided they were going to join, and then it quickly became 7, and I was like, okay, I guess I got to do this work. And I mean, it was fast forward. Within 2 weeks, I had to order all the supplies, put all the supply boxes together, and then go. And it's been a blast. And I will always remember this group fondly. They have been amazing folks and so willing to give feedback and help me shape this class into what it is. So I'm going to play this for you. show up and do our best, whether it be studying or learning. And if you want to ask questions, please use that chat box. Whenever I watch that, it brings lots of smiles to my face. I just can't thank the families enough for trusting me to go on that journey and go along, as I realized this dream that I had to do this class. So I am forever grateful. So anyway, anybody else have any other questions? What else can I tell you? So, like I said, this replay will be available in the group immediately when I end. And I am looking right now, so there's still space in both of the classes. And again, remember that there's a 20% early bird discount that ends at 5 p.m. today. And then classes don't start until for another several weeks. Part of that is just so that way, if you are not in Indiana and not local, I can have time to get you your supply box made up and shipped to you direct. So that way you're ready to go. So there is a question. Hi, my 7-year-old is not really aware of his ADHD diagnosis. What language should I use to tell him about the class? This class is for what? So a couple things. I think, so I have made this class for kids with a known diagnosis. However, there were a couple folks that I allowed in the pilot that, they were sort of moving in that direction. And so what I would really suggest is that we have this conversation offline just to make sure, because I think it's important skills to have, but I also, ADHD could mimic other things. And so I just want to make sure that you're going to be in the right class for you and your family. Because like I said, we know so much more about ADHD. It's not just the kids who are so hyperactive and impulsive and inattentive. I think that's one of the things that I need to help you kind of in just hearing your story, if this would be a good fit. But I often like to tell parents to let their kids know that they're going to be on a fun learning adventure. They're going to learn about how their brain works and meet other kids that might be having the same challenges that they are in home and school, but that we're going to have fun while we're learning, and that mom and dad want to learn along with you so that we can become better partners in handling the road ahead. So in general, that's what I would suggest. Any other questions about it? I'm happy to take them. And then once this ends, I'm going to then, it'll automatically load in the group. So anybody else who might not have been able to make it live can view and then still post questions. I will try to monitor this feed and let you know those answers quickly, so that way you can decide if you want to purchase before 5 p.m. or not, or wait. You can still sign up even if beyond today. I won't close registration for local folks until maybe a few days before, just because if you're going to do local supply box pickup, then that's fine. But if you are out of state and going to be taking these classes with me, I'd like to at least make sure that you sign up. I would say, to be safe, 7 to 10 days before the first class, just so I can get that supply box made up and shipped to you so that you have it. Because kids will be asked to do some pre-mission work, not much, but one little activity to get ready for the first meeting, which is kind of fun. And then the second is to prepare with a little kind of postcard placard with a stick so that they can show me that they have a question, because I like to ask all the kids to stay muted unless they are going to ask a question, so that way they can hear me. And so I actually wanted to share this quick question, or this quick observation, was that at first I was really, really nervous about using that chat box because I didn't want it to become a distraction. But I think it was maybe week 5, yeah, that I started using it, and the feedback I got was amazing. Like, family was like, "Oh, we love using this." The kids like to see each other's answers. It's a little bit more interactive too, rather than me waiting to call on someone, asking you to unmute and all of that. So, started building that in, and I guess it's great because then the parent is still there, so they can say, "Shh, no, don't use the chat box now." So that's good too. But so, learning as I go along how to best do these virtual classes, but it's a lot of fun. And again, I will say that I am constantly thinking about ways to even make it even better. And so I welcome you, if you sign up, to give me feedback week to week. If there needs to be enhancements, changes, I always take those into consideration because I want this class to meet the needs of the families that are signed up and who need it. So I can guess what those needs are, since I see lots of families dealing with this in my own private practice, and been teaching this type of these classes for a while. But sometimes something new like screen time and how to manage that is a huge one this year, I know, with COVID, and friendships, and struggling with isolation. So it's been really great, I think, in a lot of ways, that even though we're sort of in this weird window of time where the vaccine is available, but only to frontline workers, we're all still waiting as a nation to sort of get everybody vaccinated, that we're still kind of encouraged to be safe and social isolate for a little bit longer. And so I think it's really, really, really important, as a way to give kids a window to meet other kids safely and to learn alongside other kids. So yes, I did get that question also. Will kids get to see other kids in the class? Yes, you absolutely will. And you get to interact with each other. And I often times will log on 10 minutes before the actual class start time, just so that, if people want to test their connectivity and ask questions before we actually formally get started, you can. Then the kids sort of might chat with each other privately in that window of time. And then I also, during the little short brain break midway through, if you have questions, I will be monitoring the chat box. So I will try to use that time to answer specific questions. And then I oftentimes will stay on a little bit after class to just wrap it up and make sure that there were no additional questions. So week to week, I'm here for you when you sign up. And so I'm going to just close this out here by showing a couple more little things. And feel free, again, if you're watching and you want to still ask a question, totally fine. One family is not pictured there because they missed that last day, but so we had 7 total senior and junior detectives. And again, huge thanks to them too, because they are also a part of that little family. And so newsletter. So my blog is Let's Talk Kids Health, and I've been doing that for a while. On there, I have family-friendly handouts for positive parenting, med fact sheets, different behavioral concerns. I also do a free parenting book club. So if you're not quite sure this is the route you want to take, if you're in the group right now, this is where I post. Once we start up a new parenting book club pick, I post about the book in this group, and we have an interaction and discussion about it. And that is an email-based parenting book club as well. So it sort of helps pace you through a book through the month, but then we have interactions and talk about kind of what we learned in this group. And again, that's totally free, and the book club picks change month to month. So make sure you subscribe to my blog so that you get updates via newsletter about those topics. For example, we just did a mindfulness for ADHD by Dr. Mark Burton. And next month, we're doing siblings without rivalry, actually tomorrow. So we're starting that book club as well. And I guess you'll get my newsletter. And I will throw up one more overlay here so you see that QR code. If at any point in time you decide, hey, this sounds like an interesting kind of thing that I think we'd like to check out, point your smartphone or tablet to that QR code right here, and it will bring you to the registration page, and you should be able to see the Sunday class start or the Tuesday class start. Now remember, if for some reason you're interested but those two class times don't work, do not hesitate to reach out, email me, message me on social. And there's also, when you pull up that form, there's an interest form, a separate interest form. So then you can kind of write your name, contact information, so that way I can keep you in the loop should a new class time form. Again, like I said, I'd like to at least have about 4 families interested in a particular date and time slot to be able to open it up, because I think that interaction piece is really essential. So at least 4 families, but up to 10 per class series. So, and I double checked, these 2 class times will end before any spring breaks locally. So that's always a good thing. And I don't know if you're a planner like that and want to figure out how it fits into that coming year and your coming block of time, I did double check that. So anyway, it's been great talking with you. It looks like I have a couple more questions or comments. Oh, Amy, thank you so much for being on. You and your 2 detectives were really a phenomenal part of the family. I just loved getting to know you through the class. Such a nice thing. We took this class, My Child Can Identify His Diagnosis, and explain what that generally means after just the first class. He talks about it regularly now as an excuse, but not as an excuse, but as a question. Does my ADHD make me do XXX? The language is just at their level. I appreciate that. And Amy suggested this. I just told my kids we were taking a class and let the class explain it for me. He looked at me at one moment and said, wait, does this mean I have ADHD? And I say yes, in a positive way, and that it wasn't him, but it was a way to learn how his brain is unique. I really found the verbiage used to reinforce unique and not bad. That was a major theme with secret missions along the way. Thank you. I could not have said it better. I appreciate that. Thank you, Amy, so much. As you know, like I said, kids need to hear that positive, and they need to know that having ADHD is not a bad thing. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's just who they are. And hopefully I give them the skills and give families the language they need to talk about it. All right. Well, this wraps up an exciting time with you all. I wish you all a safe and happy New Year's Eve, saying goodbye to 2020. I know that 2021 is going to have lots more pleasant moments, and it is already filled with hope. So take care, enjoy your celebration safely, please. And I hope to have some of you as my new junior and senior detectives in the coming year. Thank you.